Today is the 4th of December. It's about 1100 hours. I want to pose some questions to some thinking people. We're a month removed from a presidential election, more or less. And supposedly Donald Trump has lost the election. Joe Biden got 80 million votes. Think about that. Now, I want you to think about a couple other things. Why did the Democrats go crazy when Donald Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court? Do you remember that? They fought tooth and nail. They didn't want him to do it. Oh, you shouldn't have a right. The American people should have a right. They fought tooth and nail. They didn't want him to do it. Number two, Nancy Pelosi was saying Donald Trump is not going to be president a second term. I'm telling you that assuredly. Like, she knew for a fact. Joe Biden has a Freudian slip that says, I've got the most extensive voter fraud network in place. Freudian slip. Somebody could say it's misspoken, but there's a thing called Freudian slips, and we've all had them. Number three, Joe Biden really didn't campaign. You think about it. He did not campaign. He hid most of the time, and he sure the heck didn't get many crowds at all. At all. They didn't even campaign on any issues. He refused to say if he was going to pack the courts. He refused to say if he was going to do this. He kept very quiet. Number four, Hillary Clinton tells Joe Biden publicly, you can find it, says, do not concede whatever you do, no matter what happens, do not concede. Interesting. Don't you find it interesting that on election night, Donald Trump was ahead in the battleground states, some places 700,000 votes. And then in 4 specific states, they shut down the voting in the middle of the night, which has never ever happened. One place said they had a water main leak, which never happened. And all of a sudden, about 4 o'clock in the morning, there was a giant spike in mail-in votes. Just a giant spike. In 5 places: Nevada, Arizona, Milwaukee, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those are the only states where they had that. Giant spike. You can see it on the graphs. It's there for anybody to see. It's public. So, it makes you wonder, do you really think Joe Biden won this election? If you're honest and you really look at the information out there, and here's number 5. Let's go with the number 5. The media refuses to cover anything. The media just refuses to say anything, and you have to go to alternative media to see what else is going on. Doesn't that concern you as an American citizen? I mean, seriously, doesn't that kind of bother you? 56 years old. I've never seen it where the media just deems something not newsworthy and never reports on it. Never reports on it. So I don't know what you want to say or what you want to think, but those are things that you need to ponder. And let's just say for the sake that all this is true, let's say for sake that Joe Biden really didn't get elected, but he's been installed through fraudulent means. What does that say for the future of our country? If they can control voting like this, what does this say about our country and the future of it? You really need to consider that and what's going to happen because of that. Because truth be told, Joe Biden steps into the White House, every investigation that the Trump administration put out is going to be shut down, and you will never hear a thing about it again. It'll all be said, oh, no, unsubstantiated allegations, amongst other things. And you'll never hear about this stuff again. You'll never hear about Joe Biden with China. You'll never hear about anything. And the corruption will run and run and run and run until our nation collapses and it is destroyed. Because that's what always happens to nations when they decide they're going to do things in a fraudulent, corrupt way. They get destroyed. They get wiped out. Look at history. See what always happened to empires and nations when they decided to go down that route. If you have children, you should be really, really fearful for their future. If you have grandchildren, you should be really, really fearful of their future. Because I understand that most people don't know history. I understand that most people don't have a deep faith. I don't think a lot of people have a faith in God through Christ Jesus. I don't think they have an understanding of the spiritual nature of these things and the repercussions of these things. But whether you believe it or not, it is true, and there is a price to be paid for fraudulent ways of measure. There is a price